Yup, I never had a Nintendo console. After all, when you have a powerful PC, you don't really need it. But the sales figures and all the talk about this console's unique features and games made me want to try it myself. I actually bought this console like a true Nintendo fan, on launch night in June, waiting in line outside of the store. The queue line was pretty long, and I was standing there at number 26. As soon as they let us into the store, everyone was picking the shelves clean, and being a sheep in the flock, even I grabbed a couple of mugs. And since I was one of the first buyers, I got a t-shirt and a few little goodies. Also, I met some nice people there and asked which games I should start with. They called Mario Kart, which was in the bundle, obviously Zelda Breath of the Wild, Mario Party and Mario Odyssey. I had wanted to play Zelda before, so most of these games became my starter pack. I deliberately stayed away from other Switch 2 reviews so I could form my own opinion as a total newcomer to the Nintendo ecosystem. And as you can see from the release date of the video, I wasn't in rush and didn't do it just for the views. Also, according to the rules of a successful YouTube video, now I need to create a hook to keep viewers watching, like, will I keep this handheld or not? I won't create a primitive intrigue and will say right away that I got rid of it after 2 months of use. Wanna know why? Until now, the only Nintendo game I've played was 8-bit Super Mario Bros. Back then, in my country, almost nobody even knew about Nintendo, because they weren't officially imported. So we all grew up thinking Dendy was its own console with its own games. Only much later did I found it was actually a pirated copy of the Nintendo Famicom. So technically, I played some Nintendo games, but Switch 2 really is my first Nintendo console. From what I knew about the original Switch is that it was more about the games than the hardware. FPS in Zelda could drop under 30, and that's what stopped me from buying one earlier. And as you all know, performance in Switch 2 is no longer a problem. But the first impressions of the Switch 2 are good. The interface is pleasant, and I appreciated the small details such as the background music during the initial setup.
It starts with the music. That's cool.
Knowing how greedy Nintendo is, I expected that I would have to link my credit card immediately upon registration. But no, the account was easily created in a couple of minutes. I got this gift when I bought Nintendo Switch. I don't know if it's some character, but I will try to find it. In addition, you can even create a local profile without registration, which is respectable, right, Microsoft? Do you know what spoils that first impression? The swapped A, B and XY buttons. A is still accept and B is back. This button's making me crazy. A and B, X and Y switch. It's so annoying. I needed time to get used to it. And once I got used to it, now when I play on the regular Xbox gamepad, I'm confusing those. Why in the world they cannot come to the same concept of buttons? I was curious why and googled it. And it turns out it was always been like this. Sega was the first to change the buttons layout, and then Sony and Xbox copied Sega. So who I blame now? Myself, because actually I could remap them in the settings. After that, it's super easy. Just plug in a cartridge and you're good to go. Why do you need so huge box for this cartridge? Whatever. Oh, it's on top. Couldn't read the game card. Please remove and reinsert the card. What? Well, okay, maybe it didn't work from the first time, but... Oh, yep, this time it worked. Good. It feels like a no-compromise console. Fast to boot, easy to carry, thanks to its size and weight, games run smoothly, and you don't have to mess with TDP settings as we are used to on Windows handhelds. The grip isn't perfect because it's so flat. Also, I often use this thing like that, and it's way more comfortable to hold it in any position. But it's so light that it's not annoying. Before this, I was using a much bigger, heavier handheld, and the difference is huge. The detachable controllers, or Joy-Cons as they call them, make their function much more convenient than on other handhelds, thanks to magnets.
Yeah! Nintendo.
Magnets! Oh!
And it's followed by satisfying sound and animation. Not to mention that each Joy-Con can function as a separate controller, so you can play with a friend. These kind of small details create an enjoyable user experience. Technically, it's impressive. It runs very quietly, even with Zelda or Donkey Kong, both in handheld and docked mode. The built-in screen goes up to 120 FPS, and on a 4K TV, you get a near stable 60 FPS. Why near stable? Because Donkey Kong had some noticeable freezes. What I didn't get is why nobody uses this docking station idea. In Switch there is no need for an external GPU. It has Nvidia graphics built in and it just gets higher TDP when docked. And the cooling is handled by an extra fan in the dock. Simple and brilliant. When I saw the first Switch being plugged into the dock, I thought it wasn't very convenient and that you had to aim carefully to connect it. But no. It lines up perfectly every time. After 2 months of using this dock, my Switch didn't have any scratches. If you look closely, as you slide the handheld in, the USB-C port literally rises up, and that's how it connects. To me, this is the ideal handheld concept. Imagine the hypothetical Steam Ally Xbox Go, with the latest chip like Ryzen AI Max 385. In handheld mode it's limited, but when you dock it, it raises up TDP, and with extra cooling you get RTX 4060 level performance. I'm waiting for someone to build it, but it will cost a lot. Now what I didn't like. It has 2 Type-C ports, but neither of them outputs video. Why? My 2 guesses. Plugging it straight into a 4K monitor would overload the cooling, throttle the system and create noise. That leads to unhappy customers. So it might be just a foolproofing concept. Or Nintendo just wants to sell you the dock? Pick whichever you like or share your own theory. A few words about cartridges. On a good side, you have a used games market. You can resell what you've finished or exchange it for another game, and basically play new games for free. Almost for free. But you also have to carry them. I was playing 3 games at once and I was annoyed by constantly swapping them. Of course, you can also buy a virtual card that can be downloaded on the device and shared with your family members, which is awesome. The only downside, you won't be able to sell it. The eShop itself felt pretty uninformative. It just says that the game is supported by Switch 2, that's it. When you buy a game, you don't know what resolution or frame rate to expect. I get that on a PC it's also a gamble, but on PC there are endless CPU, GPU and RAM combos. Here they're only Switch 1 or 2. Surely they could just write, this runs at 720p and 30 FPS. At least some games have a demo. And the games themselves, honestly, didn't blow me away. Mario Kart came bundled with my Switch 2. Playing with friends, I kept waiting for that wow moment where it suddenly becomes fun. The only time it's exciting when you're messing with your friends.
Oh, that's not fair.
Yeah. Right in front. I still got second.
But that novelty wears off quickly. I tried to play it with different people, who also never played it before, and our opinions on Mario Kart lined up. Donkey Kong. Smash everything to get resources and banana. Collect enough, and you can upgrade your skills to collect even more banana. Mario Odyssey. The gameplay is completely different, but I find something in common with Donkey Kong. Instead of banana, you're collecting moons. 1 moon or a set of 3. As for the story, In these 40 years, our Mario still hasn't learned how to protect the princess, so you'll have to save her again. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. I loved the concept at first. It reminded me of early 2010s mobile games. Reach the end of stage and ideally find up to 3 diamonds. I started playing it with a friend.
Should I go? Should I? Yes. Go, go.
Ah! Nice. Good job.
This one is fun.
Yeah, it's fun because you have to work together, but the camera is annoying.
Camera is annoying, yeah. It stayed interesting thanks to new mechanics, but the difficulty was flat. So I continued solo. Stage after stage, I kept thinking, okay, now it's gonna get really challenging. And I reached the credits. Still waiting for that challenge. This isn't Portal or the Talos Principle. But at least I saved the princess. Legends of Zelda Breath of the Wild. My biggest hope. The main mission is to defeat the villain and rescue Princess Zelda. Yep, another princess to be saved. It wowed me with the freedom at first. A huge sandbox where you think, what if I try X? And most likely you can do that. But even here, interest eventually faded. That happened with all games I tried. Gameplay-wise, the games can be fun, quirky and surprisingly varied, but something keeps pushing me away. This constant feeling that they're designed first and foremost for kids. And I don't mean the visuals. Well, sometimes the forced eternal positivity of characters gets to me. I mean the writing. That the story is presented in simplified form, without any depth. The endless free the princess, break that, bring that type of quests. Dialogues make it crystal clear who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. No misery. Even jokes are explained in case you didn't get them. Nintendo has basically found the perfect way to sell visually simple games at premium prices, where the games like Expedition 33 would require a full motion capture actors.
Fight, it's just that Mael.
Mael swore the same oath.
I know that.
She chose her life.
Here it's always characters going like cutscenes are rare. No need for a complex script, no need for a high-end graphics, and voiceovers are almost non-existent, and when they are used, they don't even bother with lip syncing. But you still pay €80, and online features aren't included. Can someone explain me why? And yet, I can tell a lot of love goes into these games. They pack in tons of mechanics and little surprises that genuinely impress. But that feeling of same recipe keeps coming back, and for me personally, it's just not a recipe I enjoy. All this while there's a massive ocean of alternative games on Steam with lower base prices and constant discounts. Plus, imagine this, when you buy a game there, the online features and cloud saves are included. On Nintendo, as far as I understood, you don't get cloud saves without a subscription. When I was preparing my Switch for sale, it even warned me that I would lose all my saves after a factory reset. Well, then you're not leaving me much reason to come back to this ecosystem. That's it. Bye!